I'd love you to tell me about Kobe Bryant, your experience of him, this global superstar. Tell me about Kobe Bryant.
For sure. Well, having lived in a basketball bubble my whole life, I knew that Kobe was on the Mount Rushmore of players, and certainly had admired him as a fan for his whole career. And in 2007, Nike was holding their first ever Kobe Bryant Skills Academy, and they actually hired me to be the strength and conditioning coach for the academy, and they brought me out to Los Angeles. Of course, I'm tickled to death. I'm so excited
wow,
that I'm going to get a chance to work for somebody that I kind of idolize. And I'd always heard this urban legend just of how insanely intense his individual workouts were. Everyone talked about how unparalleled his workouts were, and that he didn't even call them workouts. He called them blackouts because that's how hard he went. Well, I figured now that I was on camp staff, this was going to be the best chance I had, the best shot. So I walked right up to him and asked if he'd mind if I would watch one of his private workouts. And I remember him being incredibly gracious and said, "Sure, man, that's no problem. And I'm going tomorrow at 4. And I got a little confused only because I had been looking at the camp schedule, and it said that the first workouts with the kids was the next day at 3:30. And of course, Kobe was talking about 4 a.m., and as your listeners can probably appreciate, there's not really a legitimate excuse on why you can't be somewhere at 4 in the morning, at least not an excuse that you can give Kobe Bryant. But just by me asking and him extending the invitation, I'd basically committed to being there. And that was okay. I'm an early riser by nature, so that wasn't a problem. But I really wanted to leave my mark, and I really wanted to impress Kobe. So I came up with a plan to beat him to the gym, thinking if I'm at the gym and he shows up and I'm already there, he will remember me forever. And instead, I set my alarm for 3 a.m. and I get to the gym about 3:30 thinking that should beat him by plenty of time. And I get there and he's already in the gym working out at 3:30. He was already in a full sweat. He was with his trainer and he was going through an intense warm-up to prepare himself for the workout that technically started at 4. And that alone kind of blew my mind. But piggybacking onto how we started the conversation, I remember being shocked when I watched his workout because the first 45 minutes, he was doing some of the most basic drills that I knew of. He was doing basic offensive moves and basic pivoting and footwork drills. And I couldn't believe it. My expectation as a novice coach going in was that he was going to be doing the flashiest and sexiest drills I've ever seen. I was expecting to see, him juggling fire or him being blindfolded or who knows. And instead he was working on mastering the basics. And that was really where I learned that lesson, because his workout did last a couple hours, and true to form, his work ethic and effort and focus was unparalleled, and he did everything with surgical precision, but it was still very basic stuff, and that still confused me. So later that day at camp, I went up to him again and said, "Kobe, I don't understand. You're the best player in the world. Why do you do such basic stuff?" And that was when he gave me that line that I never get bored with the basics. Like, the reason I'm the best player in the world is because I'm committed to mastering my craft. And the only way I can do that is to have an appreciation and respect for the basics. And that changed me forever because, at that time in my life, I was always chasing the shiny objects. I was always trying to find the shortcut to the advanced stuff. And I don't need the basics. Give me the good stuff. And to find out that a player like Kobe lives in the basics, certainly changed my perception, because I'm thinking if the best player in the world can work on mastering the basics, then me as a coach, I better do the same thing. And so that was a really monumental time. And what's funny is he probably doesn't even remember that. Like, that's just another day to him, getting up that early and mastering the basics. But that day absolutely changed my life forever.
Wow. So you've given us